Hi, my name is ZaKaiRan, and welcome to another one of my outrageously amazing, insanely enlightening master keys of creation. About how to be the unlimited source master of divine creation that you truly are to create the joy, love, well-being, and abundance you desire, and you'll find tons more self-empowering goodies to help you become a conscious, deliberate creator of reality on my website at ZaKaiRan.com. So here we go. How deep can you go? Dun, 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 dun. The master keys to unlocking the most intimate and fulfilling relationships imaginable. Now, most people believe that intimate relationship requires vows of exclusivity, to love only one person above all others, and it requires commitment and hard work and sacrifice of your personal desires, as well as compromise to keep the peace and to somehow hold this fragile relationship together against all odds. But 100% of everything that humans believe about creating and maintaining a healthy, loving, joyful relationship is completely wrong. The matrix of typical human relationship is about possession and control based on fear of loss and loneliness. But control of any kind will never lead to anything remotely resembling truly, deeply, intimate, and satisfying and unconditionally loving, especially unconditionally loving relationship, which is what everyone really wants. In fact, to achieve the deep, honest, intimate relationship we all crave actually requires the complete opposite of a complete lack of control. So, let me repeat that again. To achieve the deep, honest, intimate relationship we all crave actually requires the complete opposite of control, which is a complete lack of control. In other words, allowance and surrender. It requires complete surrender and openness and unconditional allowance without judgment of any kind, and with zero possessiveness or jealousy, and complete sharing of your lover with the rest of the world. That's right. Not possessing your lover and possessing their love and possessing their body and possessing their sexuality, etc. In other words, you must give each other the complete freedom to love whoever you want and they want, and do anything that you want and they want with whoever you want and they want, anytime you want and they want, without any interference or with your complete blessing. Possessive, exclusive love is a complete illusion, because as the source beings that we all truly are, as the God source beings that we all truly are, we love everyone actually equally, 100% equally. And to achieve truly intimate, deep, loving relationship, you must give each other the complete freedom to be, think, believe, do, and have whatever you desire, without judgment, without any need to change each other so that the other partner will be happy, or to change yourself so your partner will be happy, or to change your partner so you'll be happy, etc. In other words, each partner takes 100% responsibility for their own happiness. And when you do that, there is no need to change the other person anyway, because you appreciate them just how they are in their priceless uniqueness. And of course, you feel no need to change yourself to keep your partner or other people happy, because you value your own priceless, unique idiosyncrasies and your own perception and your own beliefs and your own personality and your own desires, etc. Humanity came up with the whole idea of possessiveness and control and sacrifice and commitment and marriage vows and relationship vows and agreements and compromise, etc., to try and maintain a fantasy that is impossible to maintain, which is the fantasy of exclusivity and psychosexual ownership. To try and maintain some sort of emotional security and protect our supposed fragile hearts and egos, and to try and maintain another fragile fantasy, the idea of blood family. And all of that is designed to try and maintain something we all desire, which is happiness. So everything in the matrix of relationship, all of the vows and agreements and rules and possessiveness and control and compromise and sacrifice, etc., are feeble attempts to maintain peace, happiness, and emotional security, to maintain a fragile structure that ultimately should not need any maintenance at all. Because our natural states of being are joy and love. And if we could master the art of always focusing in positive directions, our relationships would always just naturally be smooth and gentle. And even our so-called breakups would be easy and natural, rather than heart-wrenching dramas. You just recognize, hey, we're done, thanks a lot, it was a great adventure, time to move on. And then there would be no possessiveness and jealousy and power games and guilt trips and shaming, etc., and judgment, of course. We would just flow to each other and then flow away from each other naturally and easily. And there would be no need to try and possess each other out of fear, and therefore no need to play power games to try and maintain your relationships, such as not needing so-called commitments and making each other make vows of exclusivity and vows to do an impossible thing, which is to love only one person exclusively, which is just not really possible. It's not realistic. It's not something we do as Source. Loving one person exclusively is impossible, because who we all truly are as Source loves everyone 100% equally. And because we cannot create for another person, and we can only create for ourselves, then so-called commitments to each other to try and keep each other happy by always acting certain ways becomes absolutely ludicrous. Because the only person any of us can ever truly commit to is our own selves, our own Source, our own spirit. And the only person we can ever truly make happy is ourselves. Because it's not even possible to make other people happy. You can only make yourself happy. Because we cannot create for another person, and we cannot feel for another person. So dedicating your life to another person's happiness and security is a futile and impossible task, and a waste of your creative energy. That is why humans came up with the whole compromise and sacrifice thing to supposedly maintain the peace in their relationships and create some sort of degree of happiness, to try to hang on to happiness, to try to control happiness. But compromise never ever pleases anyone, or it appears to please one person, but not the other. Whoever's got the most control seems to be happier. But when you rely upon another person for your happiness, you place yourself in a very powerless position, because your happiness is out of your own control and always at the mercy of another. And neither of you can ever truly be happy until you both take control of your own happiness and your own fulfillment. Otherwise, you're constantly jockeying for the power position. And one day you're the master, and the other day you're the slave. And that is the classic War of the Roses that makes great movies, but ultimately sabotages your relationships, because no one ever really wins in those situations. Winning a game of control may please you temporarily, but this pleasure is soon overshadowed by guilt and the realization that unless every exchange in your relationships is a win-win, where everybody's winning, then neither of you are winning, and neither of you are ever truly happy. Every experience must be a win-win. And you only get a win-win every time when both partners are committed to their own happiness, not the happiness of their partner. Because if one person compromises and surrenders control to another person to try and keep the peace and make the other person happy, well, the person who gets their way may feel happy temporarily because of a false feeling of power and control, because they won. They won the game of control, or they won the fight. But this feeling soon gives way to the truth that no one won at all, because neither is taking responsibility for their own happiness. They're just each relying on each other's happiness to make them happy. And this is the classic happy wife, happy life scenario. But any partner controlling the other enslaves both of you. And no deep trust, joy, and intimacy can ever realistically be achieved in those controlling situations, because you've always got to be on guard. And you're always needing to maintain the upper hand in the relationship. You're always trying to maintain control and maintain the power position. You got to be sneaky and strategic and ultimately just plain controlling in that sort of dysfunctional codependent relationship, rather than what true deep intimacy really needs, which is complete surrender and allowance and the complete lack of control. You got to be able to relax and be your true self and experience ease and know that your partner has your back, instead of being afraid that your partner's going to stick a knife in your back. So this blows the entire idea of the classic possessive marriage vow, marriage agreement out of the water, with its vows and contracts and paperwork and countless rules and projections and judgments and requirements of conduct and morality and exclusivity, etc., etc. Truly intimate relationship is not and should not be a business deal. True love needs no deals or agreements. In true love, your only vow should be, hey, I like you a lot, so let's have some fun. The classic design of marriage was, in fact, a business deal. It was an agreement to try and maintain physical and emotional security. But when you take responsibility for your own happiness and prosperity, well, then such agreements become obsolete and unnecessary. And even impossible, because even if you agree to try and ensure each other's happiness and prosperity, well, it's not realistically possible, because no one can create for another. Most of the unconscious agreements inherent in the matrix of relationship are based in fear, not love. They're based in control, not allowance. They're designed to keep away loneliness and poverty, and to try to maintain self-worth and look good to others. They're designed to try and ensure security by keeping bad things away, by keeping loneliness away, etc. But it is impossible to keep bad things from coming to you by fearing them and fighting against them, because this just attracts them to you. You can't get what you want by getting rid of or trying to keep away what you don't like and don't want. You can only get what you want by creating what you want. And you do that with love and surrender and ease and joy, not fear and control and vows and agreements, etc. True, deep intimacy can never, ever be achieved from fear of loss or fear of loneliness or fear of anything. Fear only attracts more things to be afraid of. Jealousy and fear of loss only creates a self-fulfilling prophecy of your lover wanting to get away from you because of your suffocating possessiveness, and sends them right into the arms of another lover. And there's no one to blame when that happens but yourself, not the alleged cheater. No real, true, deep intimacy and love can ever be achieved from anything limited or lacking or fearful or jealous in nature, because like attracts like. True, deep intimacy can only be achieved from joy and complete allowance. Joy and your own source must be your guide. True intimacy is only achieved when both partners surrender complete control and let their own source and their natural state of joy guide the relationship. True, deep intimacy is only achieved when each partner gives each other complete freedom to be, do, and have whatever each one of you desires. True love and deep intimacy can only be achieved when each partner is able to fully relax and surrender to ease and grace and to their own source self. And you will know when you are connected to source because you will be happy. True, deep intimacy and love is only achieved when each partner is able to share their true divine essence as source with each other. That luscious, infinite, unlimited, unconditionally loving, infinitely joyful, infinitely abundant, infinitely caring, spontaneous, magical, delicious, exciting, sensual, adventurous, fun, divine essence that we truly are. So, what makes an intimate relationship so good is one's connection to source. Because anytime you are focused on someone in a positive, loving way, you feel good because your source is thinking about them in a similar positive way right along with you. But most people are unaware that their source even exists, and unaware that the reason intimate relationships feel so good is because of their connection to their own source. So unconsciously, people use intimate relationship as an excuse to connect to their own source. But the trap most humans fall into is believing that they need another person to feel good and to help them connect to and feel their source. Of course, that's unconscious. They don't know it. We feel our delicious, unlimited, all-powerful, unconditionally loving source when we connect to another person in a loving, sensual, and sexual way, because anytime you focus on anything or anyone in a positive way, your source is also focused in that same positive way. Unfortunately, most people are unaware that this is what is really going on in their intimate relationships and everything and everyone that they love. And as long as they can hold a positive focus upon their lover, everything will be hunky-dory because they will feel good because their source is focused in the same positively, unconditionally loving way. But as soon as any contrasting shit of unwanted things start to fly and your attention sways away from a positive nature to negative, to things that you don't like and don't want about the other person, and you are now focused in limited, judgmental, and lack-oriented ways, well, you are going to feel bad because you've now disconnected, so to speak, from your own source, because your source is not focused in negative ways, in limited ways. And then, of course, your partner does the exact same thing. So now you're both separating yourself from your own source, and you're both feeling like shit, and you're blaming each other, but it has nothing to do with the other person. So now you play the blame game as if it's their fault that you are now focused in limited negative ways and feeling like shit because you've disconnected yourself from your source, and you say such nonsensical things such as, you don't love me anymore, or I don't love you anymore, or you broke my heart, or you're selfish and inconsiderate, or you betrayed me, or you abandoned me, or you cheated on me, etc., etc. But the fact of the matter is, it does not matter what your lover has or has not done, even if they screwed your best friend, stole your pickup truck, maxed out your credit cards, drained your bank accounts, and took your dog. It does not matter, because what really matters is where you are now focused. Where is your creative attention focused? Which, of course, in this case is in a negative, limited, judgmental manner, which your source is not. So you don't feel bad that they stole your truck. You feel bad because you disconnected yourself from your own source with your negative reaction and being angry and judgmental, etc., about your lover. So, if you are focused on being betrayed and cheated, etc., well, you will feel like crap, not because your lover actually left you and stole your truck and took your dog. You feel bad because you are focused in limited, negative, judgmental ways, and that is disconnecting you from your own source, because your source is not focused in negative, limited ways and is not judging your former lover in any way. Your source is focused, as always, in purely positive directions about how amazing your lover is and how amazing you are. But because of this unwanted experience and the fact that you have now launched big, huge rockets of desire for a much improved relationship where your source is now focused on that improved relationship. Your source is now focused on the absolutely amazing relationship that is now lined up for you in your vibrational reality. Because as soon as your relationship started to go to shit, you immediately launched big, giant rockets of desire for a truly beautiful, more intimate, more loving relationship. And if you can look in that direction and forget about the loser who stole your truck, the sooner you will reconnect to your own joyful, loving source self, and the sooner you will attract that radically improved lover. Or if you can just focus in positive directions and not think about what supposed heinous things your partner has done, then maybe you'll start attracting more positive behavior. And your partner will then match your desires for an improved relationship. And the both of you will live happily ever after, because you're in charge of what you are attracting based on how you're thinking. You can't change another person, but you can change what you are attracting from them by only focusing in positive directions and only finding and focusing on things that are easy to like, love, and appreciate. Either way that your current relationship improves, or you move on to other relationships or no relationship, remember, wherever you go, you take yourself with you. You can run from a lover, but you can't run from yourself. So to keep from attracting the same behavior over and over again from different people, the best thing you can always do is fall in love with yourself and your own source and realize that you don't need another person to validate your existence and your self-worth and make you happy. So the master key to creating absolutely joyful, intimate, delicious, caring, fun, abundant, satisfying, and fulfilling relationships is to first fall in love with your own source and commit to the only thing that you can ever truly commit to, and that is your own joy and feeling good. You got to make feeling good your most important desire and your only commitment. And when feeling good is the most important thing in your life, you soon lose your desire to control yourself and other people to try and make each other happy. And you no longer need to make vows and deals and agreements of exclusivity and compromise and sacrifice and manipulating yourself to try and maintain approval and love from others, because you understand that you have no control over the love and approval from others. You only have control over your own love. And when feeling good is your only commitment in life, everything that matches that joy must manifest into your life, including your desires for delicious, joyful, deep, intimate, loving, fun relationships. And the absolute most ultimate joyful feeling that you can ever have is your connection to your own source. Love from another person cannot ever compare to the love that your source has for you, because it is pure, 100% unconditional in nature, which isn't really possible from most humans. You may use the positive focus upon a lover as your excuse to connect to your own source, but you'd better be conscious that you're doing that and not unconscious. But nevertheless, it is source's love that you are feeling, not the love that someone has for you. The love coming to you from another person inspires your love for them and inspires your love in general. But your love and your joyful feelings, because of that love, doesn't really have anything to do with them or the love that they have for you. It only has to do with your natural, joyful ability to love in general and your ability to love them. And the purest love is, of course, unconditional love, which is the same love as your source. So the closer you are able to love unconditionally, without your lover or anyone else needing to act in any certain way so that you will be happy, so that you will react in positive ways and feel good and be happy, and so that you will then love them because they're making you happy. Well, the purer and deeper and more joyful and more intimate your love and your relationship will be. Because you will be in tune, you will be in vibrational alignment with your own source. And the more in tune you are with your own source, the better your relationships will get, and the better everything in your life will get. And the easier and more fun it will become, and the more abundant and prosperous it will become, because your source is 100% infinite joy, abundance, and well-being, and wants you to have all the joy, well-being, and abundance that you desire. Now, when you dedicate your life to your own joy and happiness and feeling good 24/7, others will accuse you of being selfish because you're thinking 100% solely about yourself first rather than thinking about them first. But isn't the projection and desire that you think of them over your own joy first? I mean, aren't they being selfish? Well, of course they are. How dare you be so selfish? You're supposed to always think of me first so that I can selfishly be happy. You made a vow on marriage day that you would dedicate your life to my happiness, so you should be thinking of me first before anything. Don't you know that it is your job in life to make sure that I am always happy? That's what you agreed to do at the altar in front of all those witnesses. The truth is, it is impossible to be any other way than to be selfish, because no one can create for another and no one can feel for another person. So it is impossible for me to unselfishly try to ensure your happiness over my own. No matter how much I may desire you to be happy, well, you're the one that's in charge of your own happiness, not me. I can act in pleasing ways that you can then react to in pleasing ways, but you're in charge of that reaction. You could, in fact, decide to react in a negative way to my positive intentions and actions. Either way, you're in charge of how you're going to feel. So let's imagine that you are with someone who is vibrationally aligned to you and has similar desires as you to go deep and connect with their own source and share that source vibration with you in loving ways. And let's imagine that you are vibrationally ready for that kind of deep intimacy. Because the fact of the matter is, the only way you will ever achieve it is if you are truly ready for it. And you get ready for it by doing inner work and building a solid foundation of joy and excitement and expectation. And then, when you do that, you'll be ready to swim. Because whoever you are with, whether you and them are ready or not, you're both vibrational matches to each other. So don't blame your lover if they're not ready, but you think you are. Because if they're not ready, then you're not really ready either. At least not vibrationally ready yet. You may have the desire, but your vibration hasn't caught up with your desire yet. The desire may be there, and the desire may be strong, but your vibration doesn't necessarily match your desire yet. So, in that case, you're almost ready, but you still need more clarity. And you need more focus to bring your vibration up to match your desire. You probably have some doubts, some confusion, etc. And whoever you're with, I guarantee that they are the absolute perfect person to give you that clarity, because you attracted them in the first place to get that clarity. Or they used to be the right person to give you clarity. You know, you got together with them to gain the clarity about what you want, what you like about a relationship, what you don't like about a relationship, etc. So they used to be the right person to give you clarity, but now that you've got it, now that you got what you needed to get out of that relationship, well, now it's probably time to move on. This is why it is important to never disregard anyone in your life and to value the clarity you get from every single relationship, even if it is a painful relationship and the clarity is painful in nature. Because if you attracted them, well, then they are the perfect person. They were the perfect person for you at the time. And you are the perfect person for them. If they were not, and you were not, you wouldn't have attracted them, and they wouldn't have attracted you. Many times in my life, I have attracted women that were in unhappy relationships, who had vibrationally asked for deeper, more joyful intimacy in their lives, which comes only from pure oneness and complete freedom, and they attracted me into their lives. And many times they were not ready yet because they had not done enough inner work, or they did not understand that what they truly wanted was complete freedom, not the controlling possessiveness that they had been taught by society that relationship is supposed to be. And of course, they did not understand that you must please yourself first and take responsibility for your own happiness, rather than looking to another person and how they are acting so that you can have a happy reaction to their improved behavior. But even though they were not clear yet about what they truly wanted, their own source knew exactly what they really wanted and guided them to me to give them that clarity. And of course, my source guided them to me for my clarity. So optimally, you should first do the inner work to build a solid foundation vibrationally of what you want, and be very clear about what you want, and be especially clear that most of all, you want to feel good rather than be right, or be cool, or be in control, or to feel secure, or to feel worthy, or to feel wanted, to feel desirable, etc. But after you have built that foundation of clarity, and you have reveled in your joyful desires and generated a vibration of abundance of those desires, then it is time to come out of the cave and put that inner work into practice. In other words, you got to jump in the pool and test the waters and sort through the wanted and unwanted things and people in life to give you the clarity that you need to get your vibration up to match your desires. People have a falsely romantic notion that there is such a person as Mr. or Miss Perfection, and they hope that the one they are with will be that person, or they hope Mr. or Miss Right magically comes along. But for most, they typically do not, especially because there's no such thing as perfection, because we're all constantly growing and expanding, and we're all continually sorting through the millions things in life to gain more clarity about what we want. And Mr. and Miss Right doesn't come along because you're not vibrationally ready yet. Or Mr. or Miss Wrong keep coming up because you're not a vibrational match yet to your desires for Mr. and Miss Right. But you are a vibrational match to Mr. or Miss Wrong. But only experience teaches. So you've still got to test the waters and do more sorting through the almost Mr. Rights and the pretty close Miss Rights to keep getting more and more clarity about what you want, and bring yourself closer in vibration to your Prince Charming and your Princess Sweet Cakes, which really is not a journey of matching your vibration to that ideal person outside of you. It's getting matched up to your ultimate lover, which is your own source self, and getting matched up with your own natural state of joy, love, well-being, and abundance, which will then attract who and what matches that vibration. And when you match up with your own joy, when you match up with your own source self, then all of your relationships become amazing, because regardless how they appear, you see more about what is possible for them and you, and the two of you together, rather than what limitations supposedly exist and create conflict in your relationship. That's why people just get themselves into so much trouble with this supposed institution called marriage. And so many people need to be institutionalized after a divorce, because declaring vows and making agreements is just a complicated way of digging yourself into a hole that will be hard to get out of when you need to finally get out of it. It's kind of like, hey, ZaKaiRan, I've dug myself into this big-ass hole full of shit. How do I get out? Well, it would have been a whole lot easier to not have dug yourself into a hole in the first place. But nevertheless, there you are, neck deep in shit. And the great thing is, now you have great clarity to not do that again. You dug yourself into the marriage hole out of fear and out of a very correct notion that society taught you that you are somehow incomplete unless you have a partner or a husband or a wife, etc., and someone wants to be with you forever. And that is just complete bullshit, because none of us is faulty or sinful or incomplete in any way, and no one outside of ourselves can ultimately make us happy or help us prosper. None of us actually needs another person to complete us or to love us or anything, because we are the absolute essence of love. It's just sheer fantasy that by declaring vows in front of God and witnesses, that this one person is going to somehow complete you, and you're going to complete them, and make everything in your life moonbeams and rainbows. Because again, no one can create for you, and no one can feel for you. We are each responsible for our own happiness. So you can make vows till you're blue in the face, but you're never going to be able to make anybody happy, because it's not your job to make anybody else happy. And rarely do people truly find someone that is going to actually travel the exact same pathway as them their entire life, and match them vibrationally until death do you part. Because if you are truly committed to your own joy, empowerment, and fulfillment, and you truly recognize your power as an eternal creator, well, you understand that you will always desire more and better and deeper and more joyful, delicious intimacy and ecstasy, and better sex, and better and deeper love, and more fun, and more adventure, and more excitement. And maybe you'll meet someone that matches your joie de vivre. Maybe you'll attract someone that matches your ability to open up to and surrender to and embrace and allow the delicious, deep, intimate, sensual excitement of love and deep intimacy and deep passion and the sweetest and deepest of lovemaking. Maybe you'll meet someone who loves freedom as much as you, because only complete freedom leads to the deepest intimacy. Maybe you'll find one person who matches your journey and walks the same footsteps as you. But that is fairly unrealistic. It's not impossible, but unrealistic, because we are all on unique individual journeys. So, it is a lot more likely that many different lovers will walk only parts of that pathway with you. And you will need those lovers to walk those parts of the path with you to give you greater clarity about what you want. Because words do not truly teach, and even inner work does not truly teach. Only experience truly teaches. The words and training and inner preparation are just the warm-up. It's just the rehearsal before the actual performance. That's why it's important to go ahead and kiss a lot of frogs before you can find your prince or princess. And even when you think you've finally found your prince or princess, you may soon discover that just a prince or a princess is not enough, because you need someone that matches your very, very high vibration. So you'll have to kiss a few princes and princesses to give you the clarity that you need to get you to a place where you are a vibrational match to your king or your queen or your non-binary emperor. So, back to our title, how deep can you go? Or better said, how deep do you want to go? First of all, with yourself, and then with another person. With each frog, princess, or prince, it will be obvious how deep you can go, which will depend upon how willing each of you are to surrender control and commit not to each other out of some fear-based codependency, but how committed you each will be first to your own state of joy, and then how committed you each will be to your own freedom, and how willing you are to give yourself the complete freedom to think and believe however you do, and the freedom to be, do, and have whatever you want, and to desire whatever you want without your own self-judgments and concerns about what other people and what this lover will think about you and your desires. And how willing you are to give your lover the same complete freedom to think and believe however they do, and appreciate that unique perspective. And how willing you are to give your lover the complete freedom to be, do, and have anything they desire, with anyone they desire, without your judgments and demands and control and misguided beliefs that they must act in certain ways to keep you happy. In other words, how committed are you both to being unconditional lovers, where you are happy no matter what your partner does or doesn't do, and you never hold them responsible for your happiness or lack of happiness, for that matter, and you do not make them responsible for your financial well-being or physical well-being or emotional well-being or spiritual well-being, etc. And the extra bonus key is to make your joy, your happiness, your feeling good, your commitment to feeling good, yourself, your commitment to making you happy is the cake. And making your lover and your relationships the icing on your joy cake. You make your cake with your natural state of joy, filled with the cream, the delicious cream of your own divine source self, your own unlimited, infinite source self. And then you top that cake off with the delicious whipped cream of joy of others. And then eat that cake together and shove that cake into each other's mouths. And then smear that cake all over each other's bodies. And jump into a big pile with each other, a cake pile. All right, I'm getting away from myself here. So, hope you enjoyed my podcast, How Deep Can You Go? And it has inspired you to go deeper with yourself to the depths of your divine soul, and also find that delicious, amazing connection with your own source self, and you build a nice, yummy mud cake out of that, And then I hope it has inspired you to go deeper with your lover, an attracted lover that you can dive super deep with. And you're able to create the most intimate and fulfilling relationships imaginable by taking 100% responsibility for your own joy and giving everyone the freedom to be, do, and have whatever they want without your judgments and demands. So, if you enjoyed this podcast, and I know you did because it was freaking amazing, then please bless your friends with these amazing teachings. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, my podcast channel, The Master Keys of Creation. Come visit me at ZaKaiRan.com for more self-empowering goodies to help you become a conscious and deliberate and empowered creator of reality to literally make all your dreams come true. My name is ZaKaiRan, and I help success and fun-minded people remember that you are an unlimited master of divine creation, and you have the power and freedom to create the joy, love, well-being, and abundance that you desire. Thanks again for watching this video, listening to my podcast, and I wish you immense joy and abundance on your magnificent journey of divine creation. And, of course, remember to make life a holiday